Zonon la janjo bado dani Dhargye chujurun jeben tonam jen dola benje sanjen dola sho Chedan zoye zonon la janjo bado dani janjo jen Dhargye chujurun jeben tonam jen dola benje sanjen dola Chedan zoye zonon la janjo bado dani janjo jen Dhargye chujurun jeben tonam jen dola benje sanjen dola I just want to remind all of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate bodhicitta motivation or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this discourse on mind training like the rays of the sun. Allow me to read a couple of pages from this Lochong text, mind training text, starting from page 98, to give you the blessing of lineage oral transmission, followed by explanation.
Tenzin Dorjee ngi song so ge ngi song so me go ne ba she du be Tari china ge jen ga shi ge den zhe song bo ni we gam de ce de do zhe ba cha yi zhe ba ye qi ma bian jie do zhe ba zhu de de la xie zhe ni na de zhe ba zhe xiao yue shi yan la dang jie ba men a qi de de guo bo zhe yue de xin de jie ba这些毛哇拉大的火车股，是吧？那个千万别去烧肉，毛都去拍对那个烧肉是到满这个小江边火锅的，第觉得给我继续给烧肉生到，明这个觉得我这烧肉是不火把些吧？你这烧肉生到明这个。就是工作这里送把我他呢，同志对吧？走路到吧呢，可老没少，写完现在都爱拿做些，也觉吧了，就是红不是写过的，叫来学徒说了，做的考啥个也是我说就是不多的。所谓在每个人都也在总在每年结果也有些就希望你，你是活了过身体多左边上些到把就我把的，就是可以不做，结果在的这个对面或者说东这你要。都把活了过身体，当些上些就活了过我也是过把的。你是我为了让你年轻就找些把路那个工作机或者其他的给的这些的这个或者是你让这么也是活了过，上级享受工资给咱了，你他把呢也让我些呢给咱们对标的。没得把个些了，没里边就是兄弟呢，介绍也让我希望你也让过了过。特殊就是我把那个准备在个些阶段就是些什么的，个些那个什么些那东西当那把那些没说吧，我不是些少嘞。去见那多个姑娘郎的，去见那个人家的，前面的菜的对呗，人家说都在年我呢，对包括路口，甚至当然就上街就我们那个呗，也是和我的。让人年轻多些吧，我们那工作机或者到现在对根据这些对，过几年了，这吧呢也是苦了苦，实际上是跟这个这两年大吧呢，也让些那个咱们的表现。没多把个些了，没那个中山兄弟，那就让我些把那一种葫芦苦。都是不讲吧了，准备在各些阶段那种什么到各些个那个什么些那种当然，那个些没有什么讲不下吧来，去见那么多个姑娘郎的。学习那么多个姑娘郎的，这姑娘郎的姑娘郎呗，这几年就说了，学会都爱拿着说吧呢，说吧葫芦苦，说吧葫芦苦，我说这想的就是，他寻找的这个第一次，俺都到这老师同学可能是呢，老师个拉下去那里是吧？拉在那里吧，到。拉在这里呢，在这里，这人家热巴可以我了讲是，现在他老是学到是拉在这里的话，热巴宿舍的，你们都是看的热巴学校这女人可以呢，我听人讲过的，他老是学到的话， Shevane, Jin Yumuku, Yumbola Beijing, Chita to Rongula, Hibeleta, Yumu Kara, Muse Shevi, Yumbo Bin Temper, Shawos, what is so that in the Suzu Yumu to Sum that Shita Karena in the Ganga, Tina Karishuksha, Titashi said, anything on Bangladesh, Janguris.
No.
그래서 니모 작바 숙쇼 유노 같이 쇼는 되지 거 내가 셔 요거로 와. 니모 숙쇼한테 유노는 내가 쇼거로 와. 제가 이거 내가 셔 이게 그냥 방법이 있어. 어때? 그래서 셔서 다 동시에 거의 라마샤 해봤는데 지금 짐발아 라바 왜저 라바 왜저 라바 라바 소와 또 셰베 디셰니 샤주스는 내가 타주의 민주에서 어제때문에 셔 동시에 그래서 다 디인들 거기서 라바게라 디셰다 디네단다 거기서 주수대시 도제 거의 나와샤시 도제스도 다 거기다 계사 속도 달라 그 톱시는 저도 수성우 체당 저거로 그 가지 배 톱시를 저 채야 저거 되게 성우단 채우래서 제발 엔테라 짐바에 짐바 라차에 저 최종다바 송 톱시에 대실시에네 저주서나 내가 담지도 민주에 바자 때문에 저 계셔서 어디다 시다다 집안 야고들이 시다 집안도 치료니나 내가 치료인데 약도 셔요 와 거기 퍼르시버 저도 더더블 그래도 또 쇼 타마타마도 약을 저들이 시다 집안도 표현도 여러 가지 시다 치료다고 건 집안도 했는데 또 쇼로 내가 나시 치료다고 실속네 애니 단단히 제바토안네 송디데마 파루시바 초글랍주 에네 샹루스 존즈 들어간가 디시샤니 시나네 카르사 게자토 샤요 그래서 디리자
Geshe read from page 98 to page 100 to give us the blessing of Lung, lineage oral transmission, and we are back to page 98. As you may recall, that we have been going through the precepts of Lojong or mind training, or what I call advices concerning Lojong or mind training. Right on the top of page 98, in italics, a statement reads, "Purify the coarser ones first," and unquote. What that means, as Geshe explained, that in general, we need to apply antidotes to counteract afflictive emotions, or nyönmong, kleshya in Sanskrit. But in particular, we should find out personally and individually among the three poisonous delusions, afflictive emotions, or any other afflictive emotions, which of these is more predominant in my mind, which is kind of a stronger afflictive emotion, and we have to tackle that first. Whatever is a predominant afflictive emotion that exists in one's mind at the personal level, individual level, we have to find that out through examination, investigation, analysis, and then we should try to apply antidote to that particular afflictive emotion. The reason why is if we let that predominant afflictive emotion to exist, because it's so powerful, so it's going to have so much impact on our actions. So we want to decrease its intensity, and we hope to be able to uproot it. So that's the meaning of the statement that whatever is the coarser, in the sense, the predominant afflictive emotion that exists in one's mind at individual level, we should figure that one out through analysis and apply antidote to that. And the next in italics, a statement reads, "Practice that which is more effective." What that means, as Geshe explained, and that we would like to engage in practice or virtuous action that is very powerful and more effective among many other virtues or practices. As is stated in the text, in general, being generous and giving is very wonderful. It is beneficial, no doubt about it. But if we compare giving to that of ethics or morality, or chulim, shila, ethics is much more effective, practice. As a matter of fact, if we abide by the pure ethics or morality, and then we engage in the practice of the 6 perfections, from generosity to the wisdom, all our practices become much more effective. So, as Geshe explained, that being in the practice of ethics, we can practice generosity, patience, and we can focus on cultivating awakened mind or bodhicitta mind. So this is how all of our virtuous actions or practices become very effective or much more effective practices.
Lama te was the Hinye den to the Dua. The Hinye did that. Then Doat in Lama Sanje that Kadisha the Chibom, Lama Sanje the Gongumarwa. So Tonzo to Guntigori. The positive load to Leo the Tivashable Leo the in the Lama Sanji moved out, that number the Dagumarwa, Sanji moves. Then Sanga to the Lamas the moved number Dagu. So today Tamzig of the song the guitar to the thoughts of the song. But the dual Shiva let positive but Tibashabo to get thoughts to the love shire. Till the Sanga love shire. That Yevan Gena did don't want to be in the level in Gale, positive but the Shajus and level in Yevashire. Till the Sanga dancing Yevashire. So the Queen Kajeta Picket Gawadi Sanga, he would say the Sanji Manga used to go and he would say was the what didn't I get the way in a Dixapshia? Dojo tell the Wasile Sanga Tamilian Dixapshia, what is that the Lama Kubanyambas, that Lama had here in the Yambadewa. Didn't Lava Power Yambas, that they are 2-0. Pagyo said that so the Doja is Kadina social level, John show you, Tamil, John show you some people talk so to me, consumer decision. Now a content of the Dodia, the Pamesira. Doja is Kadina, don't want to give up on some same the song there, and tell the Pagyo. Some song there, there's a line song there, and got eventually situation he that is over Tongo and it's then the Shetan you say at the 2 corners and never much to cut to a young she's a power side the man so the Karchi you watch you Karchi Haku teacher legal travel for you so happy she's a deal. Power said, "Ben, it is Jagris. Power men, he said, "I am a Kajita." He said, "You know, call your Toson, she gave me and called the Yawa to Hagu or this or Lava Power Yambash. Church, you know, and shoot up the Yamba said, "Don't play with what the Power said, shoot up the Zawais." Power said, "The men should do your Marisha." That's 到路中了周安娘吧，我是周安娘吧，谁的这是吧？可惜路中就是刚是找习惯去。我这是不路中是这个说的时间呢？在ถึงจะเพียงแค่ที่จะชาติหรือวะตัวสร้างงานหรือว่าต้องสิทำสิ่งที่ยังจะส่งยาที่เชื่อสอนที่มันต้องจิตพี่ส่งส่งแต่แต่คนนี้ส่งส่งแค่หลังแต่ยังไม่เชื่อก็ส่งที่จะสิได้เข้าก็รอเช่นที่ตัวเสียตัวละแต่จุดจุดนั้นกายปงเสียไม่ได้ว่าที่เด็กเขาจีกายปงเสียจนจะทุนชาติปงว่าที่กายปงเสียที่เขาจีso lega kharsin so so tel ya yonde to mega me na en chuji de khare na ti lega de ya go shin ya da ta shin ya yo ma ra so so yin ji me ji tel ya mo ba da te mo tel to no se mo yin ting san ni yin shu se go ma re so ga mo che de yin shu se go ra yin shu go ra ji o ti me na lo jo de ya go yo ma re o ji se ga da me ba wa sa lama le kuba me na yonde ji che go mi we shi ta ji je re go do wa ka ji yonde she ji go lama de je se di ge je wa lama le pa yu ya na chu dun ta be ko ga bi shi sa che ta pa me ke da ji da na chu dun so mo yo de ne ba shu mo yo chan to no ka shi ge me za na chu dun so mo lu ta ni chao ma wa shi da ku chi ya yo ma re shi ga da这都是朋友跟说不是，朋友关系的，你把不会的，也我是在这头脑面人谈是吧？这是话是吧？但你懂教他们，你懂了教他们，朋友没学学这的，对不对？多了这多，确实有那这学他们没有意思多，可是这个可是的朋友的是老多的，他老早教们呢。청주에서 연대 통해 대바다서 되래 좋아서야 돼 가리 거라서다 근데 소소 정확한 시우에는 이 배우는 게 해오라 배는 건저 총장에는 다 소라서 그도 그게 아니야 그게 숙소 그 총장 가지 가서 송가시고에는 다 콜 내가 될 때는 야 배우는 내가 좀 거서 거라 하시데 이 배우는 내가 시고 거라 세다 어떻게 세 라발도 도와셔보면은 애들 대시가 해서 거래. 로즈와냐는 성주기 연도 통해 대바다서 어디서 거다. 뒤정배는 성주 쌤 뒤 정배는 저봐 시도 로야도 가가 매일 샤도 그랬어. 뒤지고 누버서 매베세. 근데 가져서 뭐도 닝닝 동생 매번得到中诺些，我这当时看就看的小子，看就些的在这啊，真的，老人就那个去的康萨坡大熊猫都些，有的个这的是吧？是看的些的，老人家的把人家这，看就怎么的，人的童年没有那么啥，得到中诺些，我到说是去的呀，你这样的我空去的被看这这，两年就是也见着也没有的。这种的看你修过是那我种的这送的修过的是吧？新年了嘛，我写，这旁边写，这老板抓没吧写，我听的呢用过的是，现在他的我写不写呢？说是看了那个用，这种那个都这种用的，一般那个一般，看见城市上城市是用的，说是看了那个写的用的那么子上呢，现在也抓紧少着，就说呢。我这能就搞的些呢，当我培养些的话，城市生息的就是他们培养些了吧？我的可是抓紧他们些了吧？就是的，抓没那的，这要出什么老远的用嘛的是吧？
We are on page 98 in the middle. In italics, a statement reads, don't let three factors weaken or decrease. So as Geshe explained, what are the three factors that we should not let them decrease or decline? Number one is we should not let our faith and respect in gurus, spiritual mentors or guides to decline. So that is really a core part of our practice, Dharma practice. As often we talk about Shenye Tenzul, just to be simple, it's called Guru devotion practice, or cultivating a proper relationship with spiritual gurus. Yeah? So in the different Buddhist practices, the importance of gurus or spiritual guides is explained slightly differently. For example, in the context of Vinaya or monastic disciplined practices, it is said that one should have faith and respect in one's gurus because they are equal to Buddhas in terms of kindness. In the Vinaya text, it's not said explicitly that we should try to see Guru as a Buddha or in the nature or form of Buddha. It says that Guru's kindness is equal to Buddha's enlightened beings. So therefore, we should recognize that and respect and keep faith in the Gurus. So we cannot let them decline. Then we go into the Pranjana Paramita practices, or the wisdom gone beyond practices. Now here, it is explained that we should see our gurus, spiritual mentors, in the nature of enlightened beings or Buddhas. Pranjana Paramita does not say that we have to see gurus in the aspect of Buddhas, but it says in the nature. In other words, gurus and Buddhas are of the same nature. Okay? And so the Pranjana Paramita practices involves Bodhisattva's practices, the 6 perfections and so forth. And so as we can see, when we started to see Guru in the nature of Buddhas, we are able to accumulate much more merit than seeing Buddhas as being equal in kindness to the Buddhas. Yeah. Now we go into the Vajrayana or Tantric practices, where it is taught that we should see Gurus also as being inseparable from our deities, meditational, and they are of the same aspect and nature, isn't it? So it's in Tantric practices, it is taught that we should see Guru as Buddha. And so if we are able to do that, our practice becomes much more meritorious and powerful. So as we can see that in different contexts in Buddhism, the importance of Guru is emphasized and explained in different ways, isn't it? So as much as more effectiveness is associated with how we see gurus in these different contexts, but if we also transgress our commitments or relationship with the gurus, in terms of the seriousness, it becomes much more detrimental, isn't it? If we break our commitment to Guru in the context of Vinaya, it is detrimental. But the detrimental is not as serious as breaking relationship with gurus in the context of Pranjana Paramita Sutras. Or that's much more serious as compared to the Vinaya practice. And now if we break our commitments to Guru, in the context of Vajrayana or Tantric practice, it becomes utmost seriousness, very serious, So the benefits are much more, and also, transgression is also much more serious and detrimental. And so it is essential, not so much of a choice in a sense, that we should not let our faith and respect in gurus to decline. So that is one of the 3 factors we should let it decline. As the reason is given why Guru matters a lot in our practice is because gurus are the source of all of our spiritual qualities, developments, and our spiritual growth. And that's why Guru is the source of all our spiritual attainments. So therefore, we must accord due respect to Gurus and give faith in them. Now, the second factor that we should not let decline is what we call conscientiousness. The Tibetan word is pagyo, with regard to keeping our ethics or vows. Yeah. And if we let our conscientiousness with regard to ethical practice decline, then we could be breaking all kinds of ethics and vows right and left. We even don't know what we are doing. We're just kind of more or like robotic in the sense that we don't know we are doing right, we are doing wrong, we are doing negative, we are doing positive. We just basically just kind of just doing for the sake of doing it, and we don't pay attention to what we are actually doing. So lack of consciousness is a very serious matter in a spiritual context. If we lack conscientiousness, in terms of ethical observance, then we will also lack introspection, sheshin, with regard to ethics, right? Introspection is the mind that kind of spies on whether we are, keeping our ethics or not. Okay, and so we should not let conscientiousness, with regard to ethics, to decline. And the reason why is, as Geshe quoted in the sutras, it's stated very clearly. If you have one kind of a practice, it is like you have all the practice in under your belt, so to speak. And what is that one practice? It's the practice of conscientiousness. If you have conscientiousness, you will be conscientious of all your ethics and practices. So it is as if all the practices are intact, right? You have everything. But if you lack conscientiousness, everything falls apart. So there goes everything. Okay? So that's how important Pagye or conscientiousness is explained. Now the third thing we should not let it decline is enthusiastic perseverance or joy, Sundu in Tibetan, right? Enthusiasm in the Lojong or mind training practice, which includes cultivating bodhicitta or awakened mind. Now that's understandable, right? I mean, if we are enthusiastic about anything, whether it is mundane affairs, jigdemba, or super mundane affairs, jigdeladeba, then that really helps us to get engaged in the necessary actions to fulfill our goals, isn't it? And how can we be enthusiastic about what we do? Is we have to think about the benefits of anything we do, whether it's a worldly or super mundane thing. Like as Geshe said, if you are interested in making money and you think, okay, I think going into business is my cup of coffee, but before you do the business, you have to think about how much you're going to make and how much you have to invest, and you think about the benefits, isn't it? And you do the cost-benefit analysis, and then you engage in the business, and you're going to succeed more likely, isn't it? And you become very enthusiastic because I invest this much, I'm going to have this much return, and therefore, I'm getting a lot of money or benefits. In the same way, when we think about the benefits of our practice, that inspires us, and that makes us very joyful, enthusiastic to engage in our practice of Lojong or mind training. And so that's why our gurus, whenever they encourage us to do any practice, before they explain what the practice actually is, they often talk about the benefits of the practice, so that we get interested in the study and doing that practice. Great Bodhisattva, Mahasattva Shantideva, to encourage us to develop a bodhicitta awakened mind in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Bodhisattva Char Avatar, Chunju. The first chapter is about the benefits of awakening mind, why we should care about cultivating altruism or altruistic mind of enlightenment. So that's to help us develop enthusiasm. In today's language, as Geshe said, even in Tibetan, being enthusiastic means be passionate about what you do. If you have a passion in mundane affairs of things, super mundane affairs of things, the passion will help you get hooked into your actions and practices. So in short, we shouldn't let those three things to decline or weaken. The three things are faith and respect in spiritual gurus, okay, conscientiousness with regard to ethical discipline or practice, and enthusiasm, joyful state of mind with regard to Lojong or mind training, practice. So as Geshe said, for us to enjoy the benefits of the Dharma, if we feel that we are not making progress in our practice, although we think we are doing something, probably it's due to the lack of these three things, or we have let these factors to decline, or any of them, isn't it? So we have to restore those three factors: faith and respect in gurus, conscientiousness about ethical practice, and enthusiasm about Lojong practice. And if we do that, then we will be able to integrate Dharma with our mind. Otherwise, we may know a lot, intellectually, so to speak. But in terms of practice, we see a gap between our mind and the practice. Metaphorically, as we said this before, as much as we study Dharma, and if we see a big gap between mind and the practice, as if a horse can run in between the mind and the Dharma practice, then that means that Dharma cannot benefit us, So we have to integrate the Dharma with our mind, and we have to boost up those three factors: faith and respect in gurus, conscientiousness about ethical discipline, and enthusiasm about lojong or mind training practice. At the bottom of page 98 and top of page 99, you find explanations about what is meant by a statement in italics that reads, "Never be parted from the three possessions or the three practices." I would like to translate as. So there are three things that we should keep. We should not let ourselves be separated from those three things. Yeah, and what are they? The number one is that physically, we should, engage in positive actions that includes serving our gurus, rendering service to them, and as Geshe said, then if possible, it is so fortunate and wonderful to be able to live with the gurus or close by the gurus, so that we have a lot of opportunities to serve them physically, such as maybe like cooking for the gurus or doing the laundry and things like that. And so of course there are not too many things that we need to do for gurus, but whatever the needs, we try to help them. And so that becomes a very meritorious practice or actions. It's even said that if you have the fortune to live with your gurus and serve them physically like that, with faith and respect, you don't have to do guru devotion practice on the side. That itself is a guru devotion practice, cultivating proper relationship with gurus. It is said in the Lamrim. That's such a powerful practice situation there, and serving gurus is extremely meritorious action. And as Geshe shared a story of great Atisha and one of his disciples by the name of Ameva, right? Atisha had many disciples, but this particular disciple was always with Atisha as if like his attendant, taking care of all the needs of the Atisha. So he was busy serving his guru, and he really didn't have time to do his meditation a lot like other disciples, some of them. So then there were other disciples who are more engaged in their meditation practice, things like that. So one day it was as if, a comparison was done, whether there's someone who has been doing a lot of meditation practice, or this, disciple who has been busy serving his master. So when think in terms of the realizations, as a matter of fact, comparing those two individuals, this Ameva turned out to be more realized, because of the power of merit he accumulated being with the Atisha and serving him. Whereas this other meditator, another disciple of Atisha, so he did not gain as much realization as the Ameva did. So this is how a guru devotion practice is so meritorious and powerful practice. So then physically we can also engage in kind of environmental cleanups, right? We clean up the gombas and the monasteries, we can set the altar and make the offerings. We can do prostrations to the holy merit field. We can do circumambulations around the holy, temples and stupas. All of these things keep our body doing something positive, virtuous actions, right? So we should not let our bodies be separated from such positive actions. Then verbally, the second one is we should also engage in the reciting, the refuge formula, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, generating the mind of enlightenment, any other prayers, the chanting, the sadhanas, whatever, right, we do, so that our speech is also engaged in positive and virtuous actions. So we synchronize our body and speech, but physically we are doing something positive, and verbally we are also engaged in positive and spiritual practice. Then mentally, we should see that our mind is never separated from cultivating bodhicitta and other positive attitudes, isn't it? As a matter of fact, as Geshe explained, that we should make bodhicitta as our principal amount of spiritual practice. All other practices is like interest. We are earning interest on our principle. So bodhicitta is our core practice, our foundation practice. So on this foundation, we build all other practices. So they're like earning interest on our investment here, So in that way, we can kind of synchronize our body, speech, and mind actions into something doing very positive. So never let our body, speech, and mind be separated from such positive actions.
Monte Sony, Sonyane, Lord Dorjee Mendeva Shuna, Donye Yeves, Tidetse Chen di Mulu, Cola, Digi Singila Base, Gumjes, Lolo Shume Yamdus, some days, Jide Kanan Dijay, Chula, Lolo Mata, the Tamji Rangeti Show. Go chune, Tamji, take what she was sure that you never show you in time when the sum was. But that didn't want to that Gomja Nikadin want to transfer the Shade, she should have done Shade Pam with the sense of the hero. This was Gomja the Sala, that Gonka the Jana, and you won't show shadow of young do. Don't want the church do those. Never near the sort of the more do so. It did a law, Gomja, Trojan, daughter, and Yangajoro, so solemn members, and Gom show don't the camera, the social country go down, Joan of Madrid and the Young New York. And the rest got some of it, she is on any summer down. That's the don't of the Gaga, the Gara Gundasi Madu Mother chain. True Coronel Joy, that's your the New Zealand. The Sanji Gaga Shed New Sanjera. She the cook Sure Coronel your Marisa and easy shady. That so that I should love them in the big. The way of Joe Hadi showing the deep or deep Joe, that seems to be that. So that they should learn to go with the day passage to the passage Ganga with the door show Sunday. Only so to go or those go and this young Joe simply share don't receive that.
No, so. We are on page 99, right at the top. In italics, a statement reads, if you relapse, meditate on it as the antidote. So what does that mean? As Geshe explained, that in the explanation in the text, it says that, if we are doing meditation, and then we feel in that our meditation is not working, right? That instead of our afflicted emotions to decrease or to be subdued, afflicted emotions they become more rampant and they grow too powerful inside us. Or that as we are doing meditation practice, seems like we are facing more challenges than any normal people would. Looks like when you practice, like all the health lose break somehow there, or that we are practicing meditation too much, spending time. Now we feel like, well, because that no wonder I'm poor and I'm almost like becoming homeless now because this is not working. So we kind of feel disappointed, and all this negative things bother us, like meditation not working, my delusions are going crazy and driving me nuts, and now I'm poor, I have no job, I have no money, and then I'm facing more problems in my life than any regular people on the earth. So it's like a fiasco thing. So when we kind of find ourselves in that kind of mindset and situation, then we really have to tell our mind, it's not because meditation not working, because we are not doing our meditation and practice properly. Okay, so don't blame meditation and the practice because we didn't do it properly. So then how can you have the proper outcomes? And otherwise, if we let our mind to be in that kind of negative mindset, there is a risk involved that we might stop practice meditation, we might stop Dharma practice altogether because we think this is not working at all. It is as if we have been blessed by nobody else, by the demons. So we have to tell ourselves, at such situation, that these are really challenges presented to me, and so as I face these challenges, we can do the Tonglen practice, the practice of taking and giving. That may any other people, meditators or practitioners, they may be facing similar challenges in their mind. May I be able to take all of their, mess, so to speak, upon myself, and may they be free from such mindset and circumstances, and we try to transform that into something positive to sustain our meditation practice, to sustain any other practice. Now what is being said here is kind of explained in terms of practice meditation, but it could also be applied to other situations, as Geshe explained, like especially, I don't know how many meditators are there really, but there are a lot of people, and we always love to ask the Sangha or the monasteries to pray for us and do the rituals, all of those things, and then we might end up in this like, well, these rituals are really not helping anyway, it's not helping me heal, it's not helping me to get rid of obstacles, I'm running into more problems here and there, and so we started to feel like, okay, what is all that? Maybe we wasted my money, and there is no blessing, and all. So that again, similar situation, isn't it? So we really have to got to think very carefully and think that we are not doing something right, because Dharma can never fail us. The real meditation practice cannot let us down, because look at those who have been highly realized and Buddhas. Buddha became Buddha because he did the practice right, meditation, right? And if we do the practice meditation right, we should be able to progress in the same way. Just because we did it in the wrong way, or we have too much expectations piled up on little practice we do, Of course, it's going to be a disaster formula there, failure, So it's our own failing, so we should not attribute it to the Dharma and on the meditation practice.
And the Changju say in large Menga Chi to go bass, so it is Zessels, rated that let Toboina, Tobo so sad to share, and so sad to the bed end of his on any here by she chaired Jura, the shit of the non Juvatores, and the Juvashi Caris, George the that got them Gishipoto to go Shigas in the Chua Karsha. Sure, was doesn't share with us. What was the Tonga was? Tonga is the fight. Milling Palum, the city of Wagga. I think Gongo is the tradition, but the Jardong Lomas of the China Church is the pictures the desire to go over. You like jumps to make you. But this is the done. Oh, the picture did she was it? That one in Lusuro Shina. Tomatism goes Yabushi. This is Juvashi. Juvashi is so always is tapping. Native of Ozilesona. There's a thing as a reason. Any Shane, Chushing, and the Pendoshabu, social her Shana, Gaga Yungor, was it? Gaji Shigan to the Tombo, Lord Shibus did the Divide Jonas Sigdo. That Miss June Shea, Shabu Shat Jashibushi, and Jayu Digital Shara, who took digital. But you would say to it, didn't it? And the Tuan Losana is a young to do a to the Gaga. Sajak Kara Gunjusia do go Thomas Drivaja, and so divided the Tobajan in the shade shade, what dear she that Luju Mavodua, what this was Thomas also. There the shade is the Soto Yanajiga Mary. ene pahiga shida independent mal karsa ene stari mame lakyu se adire was mame lakyu se mame chi so chi ne tima ta shan so la ba yo ba ba yo de melte so to ba ba so shi de was ja no de shida ti za ke sha ra de ko ne so de ba ba shida ti shida ene ti na de ba so de sta yo de shize de shizu zo sha zo ma de so ma de so so lo to mo ya ene 주바시 냠린 조시 떠와도 때면은 그 시도도 같이 시는 그 니슈도 되고 말아. 어디서 왔다 가니.
We're in the middle of page 99. In the italics, statement reads, engage in the principal practices right now. As Geshe explained, that if we look, at ourselves and sentient beings all included, what we find out that since time immemorial or beginnerless time until now, we have been going round and round in samsara, and mostly we have been in unfortunate states of rebirth. So this time, we have been fortunate to find this fully endowed human form of life, precious human life characterized by freedoms, delva, and enriching factors, jorva. And this kind of life is very rare, but yet greatly meaningful, So if we compare the population of those who have precious human life to those of the beings in the bad migrations, unfortunate state rebirth, they are many more times more than the population of humans with precious life. So that tells us this kind of life that we have found is very rare, but yet we have been fortunate that it's here with us. So we should make best use of this life, engaging in the study and practice of Dharma, including lojong practice, mind training, practice. As it's stated here, that from a spiritual point of view, when we look at this life and future lives, the well-being of the future lives is much more important than the well-being of this life. This life, however successful we are, when the life comes to an end, we have to leave everything behind, right? We cannot take anything. Whereas if we work for the well-being of future lives, that's a smart way to go, because it will be something that we carry over, in many lifetimes. And also, as I said, that for us to find this precious human life, it's like, if you look at the nomads, example, right? Nomads do not have necessarily a permanent address, so to speak. So they will pitch their tents on a grassland and stay there for however months, and then they will move to new locations. But the thing is that whatever the location they have marked where they pitch the tents, they could return back and pitch the tents again. It is as if this is their permanent address, So like that, for sentient beings, unfortunately, it seems like the 3 bad migrations is like our permanent address, But finding a human form is like we got a little, vacation or something. We just kind of, we are in transit. So we have to be very careful that we don't return to the permanent address, bad migrations, and we are able to, find, better, outcomes. So from one's point of view, we should attach much more importance to the well-being of the future lives rather than this lifetime only. In terms of teaching and practice, we should really emphasize more the practice. I know in this English translation, they translated it as study and practice, right? But the Tibetan word is shedub. She is to teach. Okay, duba is to practice. She is not study. Okay, so in terms of teaching and practice, practice is much more important. And Geshe really emphasized that part. As many great, Kadamba Geshes, especially the Domtemba, the Upasaka, the laypersons, symbol person. He, like, when anybody kind of approach him, like for teaching, or somebody would like to, should I teach kind of thing, Domtemba was like, what is there to teach? What do you know? What have you realized, to teach others? So he pretty much kind of discourages you. And hardly Domtemba ever told anybody go and teach, because he always emphasized practice, And so same thing with many other great Kadamba Geshes, including Geshe Podowa, they engage much in practice, and then later, when they have certain deep experience and realization, they started to teach, And that is really important for us to understand, because Kadamba Geshes like them, they said, like, if you haven't experience the Dharma and realizations, teaching is like, what is there to teach from empty, what is there to pour out of an empty vase into another empty vase? There's nothing, So practice is very much, emphasized. And there are many other great Tibetan masters too. The great Geshe Gyeltsen, I think he practiced completely for 40 years. Then when he was in his advanced age, then he was asked to be the tutor of the Dalai Lama at that time, and then he became one. So he started to teach much later time, And then in other traditions, like in the Sakyapa, another great master called Kara Kumjum, they emphasize so much practice and less on the teaching part. Okay, so, once you practice, you experience Dharma, you have realizations, then you have something to go with and teach others. Otherwise, if we emphasize too much the teaching part, less the practice, you may know little thing, then you give it to others, then there's nothing to give. The example given is like, if you're holding a lit candle, now you give it to another person, you don't have it anymore. And that person can transfer it to another person. So there's nothing left for you. So practice really builds all that, how should I say, the resources. And so practice is much more important than, teaching others.
Yuru Kunjo Junle Sumba Wose Kunjo Jusum da Moba Kogose Kogo Koja Gosia de Rodita Goje Losusi Novo Koja Goya said the day did it Koja Gosa the Dera so big Namju Manzi the Koja Gosa the Mando, and so to Lula Minerve Chada to the Tapse. Shempa Paru Pamia Tada and the Lagda to the Dorshe. Country Solar Cat and Wake Pamia, someone charges go or what?
No.
So the Kosako said the social to Lulu the Kojas go or what?
No.
But did not get any chewing up long as that until I gave Mamas Yungura. She gave the tobacco and showed the lay level to the Yungure, did some Madash. And sure he did gave of Kadishum. And so goes and what is teaching Shakir of Jedi, Kosako, King and Kazishuna in the bay, should load down the shoyard of the machine. That Rapsudan the Deji, Marsudan the Deji said the country did the yard of the Sumjusi Diremide. Rewa Yaksan the Japan.
No.
Trying to do that, she would say, Rapsudan the Deji, Kissing Mashum and that didn't say. But Santang research and try to take good of some sugar or what.
No.
But this is what that they let the Koja goes about it.
No.
Tomaba Lela, which is that shows that Lavdash, she dares, I don't know that she's not that sure you are. She's a Thomas of the education which is what this way.
No. At the bottom of page 99, in the italics, a statement reads, in future, always put on armor. So what does that mean, putting on armor? As Geshe explained, that like in ancient times, when they go into the battles, they put on the armor so that they get protected from the enemies, attack, right? Enemies cannot pierce you, through, and but you can attack them. Maybe in modern version, it's like wearing the bulletproof. You don't get hit by the bullets because you are protected. So like that, spiritually, we have to put on the armor, in the sense that right from the beginning, when we engage in the study and practice Dharma, we should really develop this kind of a mindset, determination that I may face difficulties and challenges in my study and practice Dharma, but I'm not going to easily give up. Right? I'm going to withstand the difficulties. I'm going to tolerate and bear the difficulties. So that kind of mindset, generating determination, is called putting on an armor. Okay? And so when we do that, then there's a less risk involved for us to losing our study and practice, because we know that it's not necessarily going to be easy, and we are ready to face the challenge, isn't it? But right from the beginning, if we kind of take an easy way out, like, okay, Dharma seems like such a wonderful thing, and looks like everything is kind of happy, this la la land thing, and then we get into it, and then we face some challenge, and then we're like, oh, whoa, I didn't expect that one, and then we might give it up. That could totally throw us off. So we don't want to get into study and practice Dharma with that easy going mindset, but ready to face off any difficulties and challenges. That's called putting on the armor. And as Geshe said, His Holiness, I think in one teaching he's mentioned how as practitioners also, we hope for the best outcome, prepare for the worst, because we don't know what's going to happen. So if we do that, if everything goes well just the way we planned and expected, that's wonderful. But if things do go wrong, we are still prepared for that, because we prepare for the worst. So like that, under all circumstances, we should see that we put on the armor and determination that we are not going to lose our bodhicitta or awakening mind practice, lojong practice.
Tani Tenzin Tumba Tsidu Doma Nisa, Kolo Mesha Sheva. Simje Dunga Nado Je, Yen Java the She, Yin Jacoba, Shegova Le. Tusum La Zombe, Kansa Kan, Sevu, Jungsi Pomba Tony. Say, Tony say, Ye Gone, say, Yin Ji the Sheva, Yin Jacolo course. That the Najik the very Kolo took there, this was that. Yin Jacolo, the Garizana, Yin Jagwazal Major, Yin Major called John is a ginger shed, Nijiko, said that this is the similar Dugana to Yin Javala, Yin Jacobo Pogova, Dugana to Yin Javasita, near Nasa Moto, Jobo, Kachina, not the wonderful Shebe legs or this doing it. O tuzo ninja mogoje, and tuzo go musicality jan some to that to go to the Sewu Jobo Yuga, but Tindel ninja shed the easy colors.
No, so.
Tuzo goes the Shiga Kawaji, the Corona San Yelam, some shaggy thing to call Ning Jago Shirayamarwa.
No,
so the chick was the Karsa, the Washata, mother shading the shed the till that shots at Ning Jago, no tell Ning Jago did. Ning Jagozal Majeshe, and Ning Mijagal shed the race. She thought the subject that Ning is already the Shida Chavajas and the co. Sure, the Kawaji, the corner, Yakono, Legat of Lady Warwa. She the called Roshi gets Menakono Kama to Warwa, Tira.
No.
Kologo. Simji to Zoba Sanji Taba Dugo Le. Chirikoya Punzo. Chava the Sandy. You say, you could so turn the new one, the Bacolo sauce, Colos, that is so she has a The one is the same shaking of the current tango, said the tango. See, though Sanji over top of that, since Sanji over top of the day, we were told the Sanji over top also did check the models in the didn't legally with the Maji. Said it over thousand of the shaggy shed, or the Drashi doesn't got it. The Bacolos,
no.
Take the button, Maji shed, said dig the button on the Bacolos
are. We are on page 100, right at the top. The big caption reads, explanation of what appears in the text as maxims. In italics, a statement reads, don't apply a wrong understanding. As Geshe explained, that in general, we need to cultivate and extend compassion, karuna to others, isn't it? But we should not engage in Nyingchi kolok, where it is translated here as inverted compassion, but I would say misplaced compassion. Compassion is wishing others to be free of suffering, isn't it? And so we see sentient beings with so much suffering and pain in samsara, and we wish them to be free of all those things. That is, rightly placed compassion and the proper compassion. But on the other hand, when we see, let's say, practitioners who are living such a simple life, simple clothing, simple food, simple shelter, and if we have compassion for them, like, oh, poor you, looks like a homeless or something, that is called Nyingchi kolok, misplaced compassion. Because, yes, in general, they are part of sentient beings. They deserve our compassion. But simply looking at the simple living, high thinking, well, we didn't know the high thinking, but the simple living, and then we kind of feel compassion for them, that's called misplaced or misdirected compassion. Yeah. In the Treasury of Knowledge, they talk about 6 types of misdirected practices, kolok too. So one is this misplaced or misdirected, compassion, because they are really among the sentient beings doing well. They know what's more meaningful to do. They're engaged in the study and practice of Dharma. They choose to live a very simple life, simple food, simple clothing, simple shelter, and they are on the way to liberation, enlightenment. So we don't have to feel bad or compassion for them based on their outlook, because they are doing fine. We should direct compassion to, others who are not following the path to enlightenment and who are kind of sucked into, all the pain and suffering and all the drama-ramas there. Then another one is, that although we ourselves, we really wish to, find enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings. But then in terms of our actions, we all find ourselves kind of seeking the fulfillment of the worldly concerns. Even our practice is somehow mixed with the worldly concerns, and that's called, again, placed or misdirected. Dunba is intention, and here translated as perverse intention. Okay? Of course, if we really want to be Buddha for the sentient beings, then our actions should accord with that intention, right? We do whatever we can to be able to, step in that direction. But we wish something, and then we find ourselves getting it mixed with worldly concerns, worldly success, mundane affairs of things, then our intention or action are all misplaced and misdirected. Okay?
Simche tamche sanje komang go be se nyesum go ba le rang ning nye xing chuo xie ba lo nian su gun zhuo ji guo deng qi zha di yin di ji xie de su guo jie se nye ren zhuo ne nyesum ko lo wo se mu zha da di tin se so gen du be le ga xing zhe ji na simche de sanje komang go so the shakiru titemuri tip bading sheshe ene pege negaleji karsa no lose penjo ni lawanda kujo ten chungde ya so do gedu be ningu shia so tide kan cheni ene simje henda so kasa ya so de pa pedo shia jo ro o te te nyesum kolore so ta ro
no so
kujo korso negative sa de mo ene Cordi ya Juma, but the course Djibouti and Joe Deja and Dico Conan Chagi to bear north, Sanje Gomoria Goyashi, today Samuton Remadojin, Nega do the Pendoshin Tidishi, and the Kunjo got the Gindu shed do Asena, Yindul Pia, Chajamonja Pia, so Zero. But the Rekan, what did Bishandal Pendoshina, what did color is what I know.
And relatedly, let's say, it's like misdirected resources, if you will. This, for example, it's just an example, given that, the monks who are, working for the administration of the monasteries, right? So they have to manage all the resources, the offerings made to the monasteries, the sangha, and all that administrative affairs of things. So in the process of that, if they misuse or kind of misdirect the fundings and the resources, to support their families and the relatives and the people who are their friends and kind of, schmooze them, well, that's called misplaced, resources. It's very negative karmic action, The Tibetan word is called kor. I translate it as a karmic debt. That people out of faith and devotion make offerings to support the sangha, the 3 jewels, right? And which includes that people would like to offer tea to the sangha, the bread to the sangha, and support the education. So from that funding and resources, if the administrators and the managers they use certain portion to support their family members, the friends they know, or all of those things, so that's a misappropriation of the resources, misdirection, and that really is a tremendous karmic debt. And should not do that. And so we will stop there today, and we would like to welcome your questions. And page 100. Yeah. Gotcha.
We have several questions. Start from this one. One announcement.
What exactly is conscientiousness? Can Geshe explain more about what it is and how to cultivate it? Can tagi nganzo karsa gore ta sudim sumula pagyo ten gor sung roba gen. Pagyo se di kande jelo ko gores and pagyo se gen di ane kande se ta karsa gore ten gor se roba gen. Ki gores sa gen. No. Pagyo da ten pen da chempa se nganzo di roba gen. Chempa di ki pa ina.
So send the nine dear soldier Maiba. So Dorjee is a country in a Suzu Karaka Sigdo. Picket loves us so John the young deca Lazan to get shit Toya to city. Young Muslims in the 2 years, Chajura, or then Payosa.
Conscientiousness, the Tibetan word is pagyo, it could also be think in terms of awareness. Be aware of what we are thinking and what we are doing. If we lead a life lacking awareness, then we even don't realize what we are saying, what we are doing, and what we are eating, and all of those things, right? We are being very robotic here. But if we're aware of, okay, am I doing it right or wrong? Am I saying the things right or wrong? So that kind of awareness is called conscientiousness, which we apply into our life and practice. That you can just keep what is to do again. The so basically, it is kind of cultivating awareness of our thought and action. Just try to be aware of what we are thinking and action that we engage in. Next question. Gurus, teachers discuss both Dharma topics and non-Dharma topics, while of course holding them with proper respect and trying to understand their perspective. Can you disagree with what they say? Tiwa niba chyo rawage. Ta so so kewe shinye so rawage. Ta kewe shinye jo gda mi chyo ge kati na de da rawage. Mene da yang chyo me be chidan ke je de sung rawage. A de she de ka li ya ane ta mi so so ngwe ne ta kuji de che rawas ke rawa. Ine ane kona zo sung sha bo de ya ane so so ge mudu me na rawage. Mudu me ba shu chogor male sa ra yin mi mudu chogor sa mi rawage. Ta ke Devesi the Kame Sugar again, Chug or the Chema Vichita Camerova, and that's Kongju Damara Yungurova, and Kevation is a Kongju Manda, and associated Mudu machine at the reverse again. Some Julia Mudu again, Machine at the reverse again. That Chidangi, that meant that she needs to cut a quality Mangoshe or Choni again. That Chug or the Budin, or Chug never share or disagree again. Kadin chita ko she yang ke zo gongzi din de so somebody madu me yungro ba ke che de din ji mi midu ma chen de gre ba sa khwishap che midu ma chen de gre ba sa
de de da karsa 내가 that is shokhara there that is melbe trade so shinde dig marwati miki gaga to si chapsa to tirena in the pauduria ti goya milthia thondala des nyamde de so semdi ya samlu tangse in khodu nyamde ke thaya so te shinde dig song yo ra
no so
ati chu ta goje be ti de goi maying she 내가 des 혼자 돈 송야 소리 치는 이거 되게
아마 그냥 this 뭐 the big 좀때 말왔다 게 배신을 와게 다 개념도 스테르와 한 주도 제요 와게 다 주도 된지 개념도 다 주도들 숨으로 와게 아 근데 이나 소소 개념을 미 쿠셔도 여버져 와이나 개념 주도 제 될라다 소소 섬지 말하는 거로 와 개념 맞는 이거를 왜 스콜다 no because I mean, what I've done is your question is a good one, but it's kind of vague for Geshe-la. So he was thinking like what exactly is, with the Dharma, of course, mostly not much there to disagree, but with non-Dharma part, Geshe-la says, yeah, if gurus, say something, but we respect them, but we don't have to agree with them. As a matter of fact, we don't have to agree with, others' viewpoints, necessarily. But sometimes in the Dharma, it is said that even if our views differ, out of courtesy, we sometimes just kind of let it be. We don't have to necessarily, discuss our differences or critique each other. We just kind of, let it be. That's how it is. So, next, I'm trying to go down. Okay. Is the practice versus teaching precept only meant for teachers? Is the practice versus teaching precept only meant for teacher? To be honest, I don't understand this question, so I might need help. What you exactly mean is the practice, there's article the, versus teaching precept only meant for teachers?
So you talked about earlier, practice was more important than teaching. There's some reference to that, perhaps.
Oh, perhaps, right, you think? Okay. If it's reference to that, okay, let me ask the Geshe-la, because this, because if it translates exactly here, it won't make any sense. In the sense means we know what it means, then it makes no sense. Kora tiwaji di la udo gen da nyamlen che da dagi sheba che je ro gen. Nyamlen da chue sung ya che ro gen. Chue ga lapcha dige da ga kigen so che de re ka re sa da kewe shin kigen so ro wa. Kigen so che de re su che de re la da. Nyamlen she da ga ji she de ro wa. Dagi ji de no ma de ge shi du se je ro wa. Sheba le du ba zo che de sla ro wa ge. Che de she di ji che ma ro gen.
this so khoza so so bene tozu gozu ji she na she ya ye she so gomna gomya ye je je ne ani ale khar che or se na ye so gomna ya ga yo se
no so
she zo mo ji she
no so
so to ja gomna ya ga yo se
no so
ko ni ga de ba ni ga ye se or da
right ta ta de ke we shin ji chue sung ye da nyamlen ko she de zo de lo me che de ro wa ge ge ko na che de she kwa ye ma so some kind
she de ji da lo me she do shi gu or de so mazda de za de me na she lo ma she de pen zo she cha mo
right. So we don't know exactly the question, but thanks for Losana for helping tie up with that. If it's the case, first we try to attempt to answer your question. The gurus give teaching and to talk about practice and the Dharma, right? And whatever they are teaching to others is meant to help guide the disciples, students, interested ones. But they themselves must also put them into practice. It's not like something teach others and you don't have to do that. Okay. So therefore, the practice and teaching are not just meant for the gurus, but they are, for the students. But the teachers must also practice them as well. So let's say it's for both. Now earlier we said that in terms of teaching and practice, practice should be given more importance. And again, Geshe-la explained that let's say you are someone who have studied well and quite a bit, and then you need to practice. So of the two choices, should you start to teach or should you emphasize the practice? You should first focus on the practice. You should really integrate the teaching into your life, and once you feel it and you gain some experience and realization, then you can teach it. So don't sort of rush into teaching. That's the kind of a take from that teaching. Okay. Does Geshe-la mean consciousness or just being conscious, aware mind. Okay, we already answered that. So consciousness, being conscious of one's thought and action means being aware of one's thought and action. Okay, so that's what we meant.
May I say something?
Yeah.
So there's a word called conscience in English. And it means that you have high ethics.
Oh, high
Again,
ethics.
Good conscience. That means you
Oh,
don't
okay.
practice negative action. So there's some confusion with conscience and
Okay.
consciousness.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, yeah. So Lawson was saying that in English words, that one conscious, it has like being ethical, so that may be some confusion. So let's use the word awareness for Pagyo, right? Be aware of our thought and action. If the word consciousness is confusing there, so let's say, cultivate awareness of our thought and action, okay?